and welcome to today's session. We have scheduled this session as a part of the orientation process for Infosys selection. All of you, rather, instead of most of you, I'm going to say all of you must be really well aware of what Infosys is. It's one of the pioneer of the Indian IT industry. They have more than 150,000 employees across the world, and certainly one of the top most IT companies in the world. Now, every year they roll out a recruitment process for BTech as well as BSc students. They select freshers from the campus. AP State Skill Development Corporation has been in the forefront in terms of identifying the right kind of potential students, as well as lining them up for various selection process for a lot of companies, Infosys being one among them. So, as per the latest information that we have with us, Infosys is going to conduct campus interviews in 2 different locations, and today's session is to give you all the important information that you need to be a part of this selection process. All right. So, important details that you need to make a note of. So, as far as the assessment is concerned, so there are 2 ways or 2 different channels through which they conduct these recruitment. The first one is the written assessment, followed by interview round. So, those who clear the written assessment, they are the ones who will qualify for next day, that is interview round, and this interview will be categorized into personal round of interview as well as a personal round, which is HR round, as well as technical round. So, let us take a quick look at these important information. So, 18th and 19th is when the first phases, 18th and 19th, it's at KLU or KL University. The exact location will be notified through the APSSDC coordinators across all the colleges. So, 18th and 19th November, please keep in mind 18th and 19th November at KLU, and 20th and 21st November, it's at Aditya College, which is located in Kakinada. The eligibility criteria, this is not for BTech students, this is only for the non-BTech or BE background. This is for BSc as well as BCA. So, academic streams, we have BSc and BCA provided. You have maths or mathematics as a specialization. The minimum score that is required is and degree, which means if any of these stage of your academic background, if you have scored below 60%, you will not be eligible for it. So, Infosys has this rule. They take students who have 60% and above marks across the academic stream, which is 10th, 12th, as well as your degree, which is 10th, which is SSC, intermediate, your 12th, as well as degree. If you are in final year, they will still look for marks from all your semesters. I am going to give you those details soon. Now, there are certain documents that you need to carry as a part of this entire selection. The first one being your updated resume. Please prepare a simple and yet an elegant resume which details your academic background, which details your strength, it details your scores, as well as any projects that you have undertaken, plus your personal details. Please do carry the original ID card. Please do not carry a photocopy. Please do carry the original ID card of your college. You would need to carry latest color photograph size, passport size photograph. So, ensure that it is color and ensure that it's the latest one. It should be the recent one. And the back side of the picture, you need to mention certain details. These details are university roll number, name, and date of birth. You need to write that on the back side of the photograph. You also need to carry 2 documents. I will show you these documents now. Scholastic average sheet and application form. Now, these documents will be handed over to you in your college. It will be emailed to you. Some of the colleges had just provided the college email ID. Now, that is not applicable. The companies will not be able to take that email ID. So, what APSSDC has done, it has the list of all the students plus the mobile number. So they have mentioned a particular email ID. Say for example, if a person's name is Pradeep Kumar and his last 3 digits of his mobile number is 326. So they have just mentioned pradeep.kumar326@gmail.com. You need to use the same text and create your own Gmail ID and create ID and password. The ID is mentioned, please use that. This is very, very important. Those who are watching this program, please cascade this down to those who are not watching this live right now. This particular program will be available on YouTube, so please do watch it because this part of information is very, very critical and important. Infosys has specifically asked for email IDs. Some of you do not have an email ID. The college did not provide an accurate email ID. So the APSSDC team has just mentioned the email IDs. They haven't created the account, they have just mentioned first name dot last name and some numbers. It could be the phone numbers or it could be something else. That list will be sent across to the colleges. Please look up your name, look up the way it has been mentioned and create your IDs and passwords. Because the information, any information in terms of registration will happen through email. So that is very, very important. Now talking about the scholastic average sheet and application form on the slide. So what do we mean by this? So educational details when it comes to, you need to have simple average of your scores, includes marks obtained in all subjects, semesters, years, including electives, optional subjects, additional subjects, practicals and languages. All this information is necessary. There is a specific document by Infosys that has been shared with with all the colleges. Please get in touch with the placement officers. Please also get in touch with the APSSDC coordinators. They will distribute these forms. They will cascade it down to all of you to make you understand how the form looks like and how it should be filled. There is an important information that needs to be filled in by each of the participants. Let me take you through that. So this is called important instruction. I'm going to read it very slow so that you understand and you make a note of it. Your original college ID card should be mandatorily available with you during the selection process along with a recent color size photograph. So like I mentioned, you need to have a recent color size photograph and you should carry your original ID card. Don't forget to mention your university roll number, name and date of birth on the back side of the photograph. Our test administrators will collect it from you during the interview process. But please do carry both the days. It's specifically for interview, but please do carry on day 1 as well. Now here comes the important information. Education details, simple average, you need to mention simple average which includes marks obtained in all subjects, semesters, years including electives, optional subjects, additional subjects, practicals and languages. Steps detailed below. So what are the steps to mention this information? I will show you the form. Let me show you the form right now. This is how the form looks like. Okay. This will be handed over to you before you go on 18th. So please ensure that this particular form is hand filled. Please do not use a computer to type all these fields. Your name, date of birth, college name, it will not be accepted. Please remember, in case if this form is filled in a computer and taken a printout, it will not be allowed. You will be disqualified. It should be filled by hand. I would suggest you use a blue ink pen, use a proper pen, and please write very, very accurately, legibly and neatly. Please do not overwrite on it. If you end up making a mistake, rather use a new sheet. But please do not overwrite on the form. Okay? Let's get back to the form. So all these fields needs to be filled in. So let me zoom in so that you can see it clearly. So your name, date of birth, college name, then board. So now you see this is 10th standard, this is 12th or PUC. The reason it's PUC, it's pre-university college. In Karnataka, it's called as PUC. You need to mention the board. An important note, it says include all electives, optional subject, additional subject, practical subject and languages. Total marks obtained for all subjects, maximum marks for all the subject. For example, all the subject put together, you have scored 596 out of 600. So that's how you need to mention. Simple average or CGPA of all the subjects. Now, how to arrive on simple average? I just mentioned it. So let me take you through this. Simple average includes marks obtained in all subjects, semester, years, including electives, optional subjects, additional subject, practical and languages. So that is what simple average is all about. So let me zoom out. So this is the form that will be given to you. Coming to the graduation, semester 1, year 1, semester 2, year 2, semester 3, 4. So all the marks you need to mention it very, very clearly here. Please do not make any mistakes. All right. I'm going back to the sheet where the instructions have been mentioned. Now, how do you arrive at simple average calculation? It says while computing simple average aggregate percentage for 10th, 12th, graduation and post graduation, include all languages, additional subjects and practicals and optional subjects. I am here right now. Please refer to the illustration below for better understanding. If your college follows a CGPA system, please ensure that the CGPA is calculated taking into account each and every course that you have undertaken in the curriculum, including optional or additional subjects, if any, means if applicable. If you have done your diploma after 10th and have joined directly as a lateral entrant into second year of BE or BTech, please calculate. So now this is not applicable because this particular selection is only for BSc and BCA. So I'm going to ignore that. If your school follows a grade system, please enter the simple average of all marks equivalent to it. Okay. Now let me show you how it looks like. So this is an illustration. Obviously, you will not mention these marks. You are not going to mention these marks because this is an example, it's an illustration. Let me zoom it a little more. So subject 1, you have obtained 60 out of 100, subject 2, 73 out of 100, subject 2, practicals, you got to mention that as well. Subject 1 doesn't have, that's why it's not mentioned. What is the optional subject? What is the additional subject? So we have a total of 418 out of 625. Simple average, we all know how to calculate average. 418 by 625, you get this percentage. It's as simple as that. All right. If I go to the next one, the next block is for +2 or graduation. Sorry, this is graduation, post graduation. See how it's mentioned here. Course 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Practical separately. This is the total marks allowed. This is the total marks scored. You arrive at a simple percentage. Now there are additionals here 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So basically you just add everything. All right. You are adding everything and then you are making a sum and you are taking a simple average like it's mentioned. 530 plus 507 plus 474 plus 598 divided by, this is the allowed marks, total marks that can be scored, total marks that has been scored. So it comes to 82.7. So basically this blank form will be given, please fill in your scores. Now on the day of online test, please carry filled in scholastic average sheet and your college ID card. So that is on day 1. And on the day of the interview, Please carry a copy of your resume, one recent passport size color photograph and college ID. So this particular information is very, very important, and this is how your form will look like. You need to enter all the details here. Clear? Please ensure the form is hand filled. You are not using a computer to type in. It has to be hand filled. My personal suggestion, use a blue ink so that it can be clearly visible instead of black, because it can get mixed up. And if you write in blue ink, it will be very, very clear that you have handwritten it. All right? And please do carry all the other important documents. Even though it doesn't mention, please do carry your certificates. Please do carry your mark sheet. Just in case if they ask, you should have that information handy. Okay? So this is from the forms and the scholastic average sheet point of view. I am repeating one information again. It's mandatory that you need to have an email ID. What we got from the colleges is just the name and the college domain. It may or may not work, and Infosys is specifically looking for individual's personal email ID. So what APSSDC has done, they have just created names, first name dot last name and some numbers. It could be the phone number, the last 2 or 3 digit of your mobile number, or it could be just the mobile number, it could be anything. But they have already filled in this sheet and that has been sent to your college. Please get in touch with the coordinator, please get in touch with your placement officer, pick your name, refer to the name that has been created and create your ID and password. It's very, very important. If you do not have that, you could be in trouble. You may not even be able to register for this entire selection process. All right. So moving on in terms of what needs as part of the document, I am repeating this information for those who came in late. In case if you did not attend, if somebody did not attend this particular live session, you can certainly watch it later on YouTube. All right. So please do carry your resume. Please do carry your original ID card from the college. And please do carry latest color passport size photograph. Mention your university roll number, name and date of birth on the back side of the photograph. You need to fill in the scholastic sheet and application form. And I explained what the scholastic sheet is all about. All right. Now moving on in terms of the assessment pattern. The selection process of the company consists of 2 rounds, like I told you. The first one is the written test. The second one is the interview. The interview will have 2 sections, HR round and technical round. Okay. Now let me make a little change here. This is to ensure it's clearly visible to all. Okay, I hope it's visible now. So written test will be on day 1. What do we mean by day 1? Let me go back. Day 1 in KLU is 18th November. Day 1 in Aditya College, Kakinada is 20th of November. There are 2 locations where Infosys is going to conduct a drive. Location 1 is KLU on 18th and 19th. Location number 2 is Aditya College in Kakinada on 20th and 21st. Please remember, 18th you will have your written assessment. Those who clear the written assessment, it will be an online assessment. Those who clear the online written assessment, they will qualify for the interview which is going to be conducted on day 2, which is 19th in KLU and 21st in Aditya College in Kakinada. So let's go back to the pattern of your assessment. First you will have a written assessment. Then interview will have 2 sections, HR round and technical round. In written test, the pattern is you will have test category categorized into reasoning and verbal. Reasoning, you will have a total of 30 questions. The time allocated is 40 minutes. In verbal, you will have 40 questions. The time allocated is 35 minutes. So you have a total of 70 questions. that needs to be answered in 75 minutes. All right. Basically 1 hour 15 minutes is what the assessment is for. You need to answer 70 questions within the stipulated time. All the questions will be multiple choice, which means you need to pick the correct answers, and the race will be against the time as well as accuracy, which means you need to get accurate answers within the stipulated time. Verbal will not take as much time, but when it comes to reasoning, aptitude, obviously it's going to take some time because you have a lot of calculations. So that's why you have been allocated 40 minutes and you have 30 questions. The topics that may be covered in terms of your aptitude are as follows. You'll have data interpretation, syllogisms, data sufficiency, problems on trains, time and work, permutations and combinations, number series, coding and decoding, and puzzles. I'm going to stay here so that you can make a note of this. These are the probable topics for aptitude. Please make a note of this and please do pass it on to everybody who could not attend this session. Data interpretation, syllogisms, data sufficiency, problems on trains, time and work, permutation and combinations, number series, coding and decoding, and puzzles. Now aptitude is something you must be used to it, you must have been practicing a lot. Since you are in final year, you should already get into the practice mode of aptitude, because aptitude is something that's going to be common across most of the companies. Okay, I'm going a slide back so that you can make a note of the pattern. Reasoning and verbal. Reasoning 30 questions to be answered in 40 minutes. Verbal 40 questions to be answered in 35 minutes. A total of 70 questions in 75 minutes. So these are the aptitude topics. Now what are the verbal topics? Verbal ability topics, you will have questions on theme detection. You will have sentence correction or sentence improvement. You could also have fill in the blanks with the right grammatically accurate words. And the most important part is reading comprehension. In the past, we have seen 2 paragraphs that could be given and 5 questions from each paragraphs will be asked, which basically means 2 passage comprehensions with 5 questions each. I will explain to you what do you mean by theme detection, what do you mean by sentence correction, and reading comprehension. So theme detection, so basically each of the question contains a small paragraph followed by a sub question on it. Participants needs to read each paragraph carefully and answer the given questions. So basically you will have a paragraph based on which you will have certain questions. It's different from passage comprehension. In passage comprehension, it will ask you for specific question. Say for example, there is a passage written about India's freedom struggle. There is a story on it. It will ask what is the name of the person, in which year. For example, it says there is a particular freedom fighter who was born in 1920 and at the age of 15 he fought the British rule. So the question will be, in which year did he fight the British rule? So he was born in 1920, at the age of 15 he did that, which means the year is 1935. Those are the kind of questions you will get in passage comprehension, because they are trying to identify, are you able to comprehend what the author is trying to say. But in theme detection, you are supposed to read, understand and analyze. The analytical part is the key word here. you need to analyze what is the intent of the author. Let me show you an example and you will understand. You have a passage here. The passage is, the screen please. You have a passage here on top. The attainment of individual and organizational goal is mutually interdependent and linked by a common denominator, that is employee work motivation. Organizational members are motivated to satisfy their personal goals and they contribute their efforts to the attainment of organizational objectives as means of achieving these personal goals. Now, before we head to the question, the passage basically means there is an interdependency in terms of motivation when an employee is working in an organization, and that is mutually interdependent and linked by common denominator. Okay, we know numerator, denominator, right? So, what is that called? That is called employee work motivation. It basically means if the employee is motivated to achieve his personal goal, that will ensure that he is also meeting the organization's goal. It will motivate him if he is motivated for his personal goal. Say for example, you are an employee in Infosys, and what is your motivating factor or the driving factor for your progress is you want to be a very good developer in 2 years. That is your personal goal. Now, when you link that with the organization, you will work well. When everybody thinks that way, the organization also progresses. That is what it means. Now, let us look at the question, what it is asking on this theme. It says the passage best supports the statement that motivation encourages an individual to give priority to personal goals over organizational goals. B, motivation is crucial for the survival of an individual and organization. C, motivation is the product of an individual's physical and mental energy. D, motivation is the external force which includes an individual to contribute his efforts, which induces, I am sorry I read it incorrectly, I am reading option D again. Motivation is the external force which induces an individual to contribute his efforts, or option E, motivation makes organization and society inseparable, which means the society and organization always work together, which means an employee and organization always work together. Now you understood what the passage is. The question, let me read it out again. The question states, the passage best supports the statement, slide please. The passage best supports the statement that motivation is, or what motivation is, from any of these options. Which is the correct answer? It says first one, motivation encourages an individual to give priority to his personal goals over organizational goals. All right. Now, moving on, here is another example. Now, the reason I am covering these examples because aptitude is something that you will be doing day in day out, but theme detection and passage comprehension is little complex. So, I am just trying to give you an orientation how the questions will look like and what you need to apply in terms of understanding these questions and coming up with the accurate answer within the given time. All right. All right. So, one more example of theme detection. Due to enormous profits involved in smuggling, hundreds of persons have been attracted towards the anti-national activity. Some of them became millionaires overnight. India has a vast coastline both on the eastern and western coast. It has been a heaven for smugglers who have been carrying on, it has been heaven for smugglers who has been carrying on their activities with great impunity. Impunity means fearless. There is no doubt that from time to time certain seizures were made by the enforcement authorities during raids and ambush, but even allowing these losses, the smugglers made huge profits. The passage best supports the statement that smuggling hampers the economic development of a nation, smuggling ought to be curbed, authorities are taking strict measures to curb smuggling, or smuggling is fast increasing in our country owing to the quick profit it entails. So the correct answer is option D. One important aspect you need to remember in theme detection: all the options will look very likely as a correct answer, but you need to pick the most appropriate answer. If you look at all these examples, any of these options can actually sound like an answer, right? But you need to understand the theme of the passage and what is the most accurate answer. That is where the challenge lies. So you need to practice a lot of reading and comprehension for that. The next section you will have will be sentence correction, where you will have a sentence which will have an underlined phrase. That underlined phrase could be grammatically incorrect. The key word here is could be, which means it may or may not be grammatically incorrect. If it's accurate, choose option no improvement. Say for example this particular question: the workers are hell-bent on getting what is due to them. So if you think the underlined phrase hell-bent at getting, if it's not correct, you need to pick one of the option which you think is correct. Hell-bent on getting, hell-bent for getting, hell-bent upon getting, or no improvement needed. Now the trick here is the underlined phrase could be accurate. It may not need any correction. If that is the case, you will choose no improvement. But if you think it's grammatically incorrect, you will pick the grammatically accurate option. In this case, it's option C. The workers are hell-bent upon getting what is due to them. All right. One more example: if the room had been brighter, I would have been able to read for a while before bedtime. Now the first phrase itself is underlined, which means it needs improvement if you think it's not correct. If the room was brighter, if the room are brighter, had the room been brighter, I would have been able to read for a while before bedtime, or no improvement. Now in this case, C is the correct answer again. So had the room been brighter, which means it's a hypothetical situation, it's a conditional situation, which means had the room been brighter, I could have read a little more before going to bed. Now comes passage comprehension. So you will have a very simplistic way of putting this forward. It will say reading passage comprehension. It's the ability to read text, process it and understand its meaning. You will have a passage like this followed by 5 questions. Okay, let me take this as an example. Soft-bodied animals like caterpillars often fall a prey to voracious hunters like birds or reptiles. Despite having no means to actively defend themselves with weapons like claws or jaws, they have nevertheless evolved other equally effective deterrents. Okay. Now a question will be there. The expression other equally effective deterrents mean preventative weapons which have equal effect of others, mechanism which scares everyone equally well, preventive equipment which it as effective as something that has been already mentioned in the passage, or deterrents that are as powerful as those the caterpillars have. So B is the correct answer, mechanism which scares everyone equally well. So likewise you will have questions like this. For example, experienced birds do not attack the Himalayan caterpillar because they are repulsive, very aggressive, inedible, diseased. Inedible means something that you cannot eat. So that is what the passage has. So in passage comprehension, you are reading the entire passage, you are understanding it, and there are some few little questions from here and there. But in theme detection, you are understanding the theme, the inner meaning of the passage. You need to understand the context, you need to understand the intention of what the author is saying. That's why it's called theme detection. Clear? So from tomorrow, we are going to start the online sessions. These will be beamed since morning, it will be live session. Those who can watch live on MANATV as well as YouTube. You are free to do that. In case if you miss these live sessions, you can watch it on in YouTube in the evening, but please ensure that you do attend these sessions, because these sessions are designed, they are created with an intention of giving you all the required knowledge to succeed in the Infosys placement drive. That's very, very important. You will have expert trainers who will come and tell you how to, what the approach should be for this assessment, including interview, including dress code, how to sit, how to stand, how to speak, how to write your resume, everything will be covered. So please do attend these sessions. For some colleges, there could be trainers who will go to the college directly and train, but in the welfare of the majority of the students, this program will be beamed live on MANATV as well as YouTube. So please do watch and get yourself better. Once again, important dates, 18th and 19th you have the assessment. On 18th you will have written assessment at KLU. 19th you will have interview there. 20th you will have written assessment in Aditya College, Kakinada. 21st you will have interview. The timings will be communicated through the APSSDC coordinators for each and every college. So don't worry about the timings. Eligibility criteria, you should have minimum of 60 marks across the academic stream. The documents you need to carry is resume, your original ID card, the latest passport size color picture with information like roll number, name and date of birth mentioned on the back side of it. You need to fill in the scholastic average sheet, the application form. You will be emailed, like I said, the email names are created. According to your name, you just need to create the IDs in the domain, Gmail. That information has already been shared with the colleges. So please get in touch with your placement officer as well as the APSSDC coordinator. You will have written round first, followed by interview. Those who succeed, written test. Those who clear written test, they will go to interview round. Interview, you will have an HR round, personal interview, as well as technical round. Written test, you will have reasoning and verbal, 30 questions in reasoning with a duration of 40 minutes. Verbal, you will have 40 questions, duration 35 minutes, a total of 70 questions that needs to be answered in 75 minutes. These are the topics for aptitude: data interpretation, syllogism, data sufficiency, problems on trains, time and work, permutation combinations, number series, coding and decoding, puzzles. And verbal ability, you will have theme detection, sentence correction, reading comprehension. You may get 2 different paragraphs of 5 questions each. All right. So I hope this was helpful in terms of your orientation. Any questions you have, please feel free to speak to your placement officers, your placement coordinators, as well as APSSDC coordinators. You will get all the required information. And from tomorrow, we begin the online sessions as well to reach the maximum possible number of students. So tune in to MANATV in the morning, 9:30, as well as the YouTube channel of MANATV. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.